I was talking to Joe today about the Butts and Guts challenge because a lot of new people from Instagram and from other places are just starting it. They didn't see any of the, I guess, days 1 through 10 videos that you guys did. And he asked me what people who are signing up for this type of challenge would need to know, like if I could talk to them face to face. And the first thing that popped into my head, it wasn't, I don't want to, it seems offensive when I say it out loud. So, but you're a wholehearted, authentic community so I want to be upfront with you. What I said, like what came out of my mouth when Joe asked me this was, if someone is choosing to do something just to get a better butt and gut, it's never going to work. And here's what I mean by that, is I spent like 12 years, 13, maybe more, the better part of a decade, the better part of my 20s, trying to be thinner, trying to be fitter, trying to be healthier also, but aiming for something that I never hit until I changed this one thing. Changed one thing, and that made the whole difference for 2 years before I got pregnant, through my pregnancy, and afterwards. But it makes me so sad how much time I spent trying to be something different than I was. And the reason I felt like it was so heartbreaking is because my job was to help other people live healthier lives. And my job was to help people get into better shape. And I witnessed people getting into the best shape of their lives because, they had this certain perspective. But the thing is, if you're only doing something for a really, for a surface goal, or for a not part-time goal, for a temporary goal, it's just not gonna work. And that's why fad diets don't work. That's why crazy intense workouts that you're not able to maintain, that's in the long run, that's why they don't work over time. Because when you're doing something for just this one, like I want abs of steel, whatever you're doing to get there isn't going to be the pain of, so I want to think of this quote, but you have to have some sort of pleasure in moving towards what you're moving towards, and part of that is enjoying the process. I think that's the best way to say it. So with the Butts and Guts challenge, I think the best way to get the most out of it and to go into it is to think, I want to do something freaking awesome for myself. I deserve a change. I need to do something positive for my mind, my heart, my spirit, my body. And if you're like me, movement is the vessel of change. Movement is when we start to really stir things up. You know that I believe your tissues hold your issues, but that's when the magic happens, when we start to move. So going into the Butts and Guts challenge, thinking I want abs of steel, I want a hard ass, I think that's awesome temporarily. So maybe that would work for you over the 10 days. But if you want to maintain your results, you've got to dig deeper for the real underlying intention. And this is the part that so few people want to talk about. But the people who are ready to talk about this part of it, they get the lasting results, hands down. And the deeper part of it is, why do I want abs of steel? Like, what part of my self-worth, again, this is the part where a lot of us want to tune out, but what part of my self-worth relies upon my body looking a certain way, or me feeling a certain way when I look in the mirror? And that's just it's so hard to go there, isn't it? It feels like itchy and scratchy, and it's just not as fun as like, love yourself. It's not as fun as like, do all the crunches and get, go hard or go home. It's to dig deeper is itchier is the word that comes up. But if you're able to think, like maybe take just 1 minute, like set a timer for 1 minute and think to yourself, what are my physical goals from now until the end of the year? And just think about it, for 1 minute. Maybe free associate, do some journaling, free association journaling for 1 minute. And then think why. Why do I want to go there? Because there's nothing wrong with wanting to have abs of steel. I've been there. I had stomach issues as a kid, and I always had kind of like this puff going on, and I still get it every now and then when I eat certain foods, but to see abs is like huge for me. But it's not just because of that, the look, it's like the sense of accomplishment. So I have to be real with myself and know that when I'm searching for my abs, it's about looking for a sense of accomplishment. And I can think, what else can bring me there? I mean, honestly, being able to do a plank for a minute. I remember in my labor, I thought, if I can do a plank for a minute, I can get through this stupid contraction for a minute. Like, they play into different parts of our lives, but if we can find a way to dig deeper for intention, we can start to really enjoy the process and not just do a workout because we said we would, and not just do a workout because we maybe purchased this program or purchased a subscription, but we start to do the workout because we recognize how much the process gives us like a sense of accomplishment in my example, or how much the process helps us to just create some mental clarity. Or even yesterday when I was doing my yoga practice, I do mantras now as I do sun salutations, and I got really annoyed and wanted to quit. And I was like, what was I just thinking about on that mat when I wanted to quit? And I could bring myself back to that thought and that thing that had happened, and I was able to work through it. So I just think, tell me if you agree with me, especially if you're watching the recording afterwards, that I just think that when we're more mindful about what we're doing, like when we stop this like droney like treadmill thing and start to sink into like every step and just being mindful about our days, about our bodies, about our lives, we're able to soak up so much more of the process, so that once we finally get to that end point, whether it's seeing abs, again, nothing wrong with that. I like seeing abs, don't get me wrong. Or whether it's losing 12 pounds, when we get to that 12-pound loss, we can celebrate it so much more because we're not so scared of losing the result. So I guess to tie this together and then to bring it to the great Brene Brown, you know, if you're starting the Butts and Guts Challenge, or if you're starting the SPF program, or you're in the middle of it, I want you to think about, I'm going to ask you to do the thing that's uncomfortable. I want you to think about digging deeper and asking yourself, why am I doing this? Why is this important to me? Why am I going to give 10 or 20 or 30 minutes of my time every day, my precious time, to this activity? So you know what you can get out of it throughout the process, not just for that end goal. All right? And I don't know if you've heard of, you have to have heard of Brene Brown by now, right? She referenced, so I haven't read The Gifts of Imperfection, but I'm going to link it in the comments below because I'm ordering it tonight. But Joe and I listened to, not Daring Greatly, but The Power of Vulnerability. We listened to that on our trip to Michigan. And she talks about the guideposts of, the guideposts of happiness or something along those lines, or wholehearted living. And one of them is play, really sinking into rest and play. And the interesting parts about play is that like animals that were playing in the wild would like handicap themselves so they could continue playing longer. So some of the qualities were like, you're engaged, you're finding joy in it, and then you'd continue to play to have the process go on longer because you want to continue so badly. So I'm not suggesting that you like, I don't know, find a way to love planking if you hate planking, but finding activities or ways to weave in activities and movement so that you enjoy it and you enjoy sinking into your body. And maybe you'll never find a soulmate workout if you're like my husband. He hates exercise of all kinds. I mean, opposites truly attract. But I know that he really likes like working in our garden or doing like manual labor of sorts because he feels like there's a process and like a purposefulness that you get out of it. So he knows that about himself, and I think it just allows for greater awareness. So finding out what you enjoy about the process helps you to create more playfulness in all of life. And something that really struck me was the quote I posted right that's above this video, is that, gosh, how much we wear exhaustion as a medal of honor, like a badge of honor. Like, I must be working hard. I must be kicking ass at this mom thing or this job thing or this life thing because I'm so exhausted. I have worked so hard. And I don't want to admit this, but it just popped into my head. This feels very vulnerable to say, but I am just a person who, I have a hard time reaching the last day of something or the end point of anything, because part of my identity is that I'm a hard worker. So if I finish something, like finish a paper when I was in grad school, or finish a workout program even, like, then what? Then I feel like I'm free falling. If I'm in the process of something, if I'm working towards something, then I'm me. But what happens when I'm done with that? So maybe that's a little too deep. I don't know. But if you identify with that, like wearing, oh, it's so hard, but like wearing hard work or exhaustion or stress, it's a big one, as a badge of honor. I guess this is a we thing. Like, how can we take a deep breath, back away from that, realize that that is not our identity, that is not all of who we are, and allow ourselves to be the other side of the coin and to play and to make room for rest. Like, what is that? How do we do that? And that, it just makes me frustrated hearing myself say these things, but there's power in Shavasana at the end of a yoga session. There's power in stretching. There's power in rest between intervals in a workout program. And if we're human, if we were to only go, and we only slept an hour a night, like, we would die at age 45, and nobody wants that. So I guess what I encourage you to do on this particular Wednesday, because I've heard a lot of people reflect that this is such a busy season and this is such a hard time, with the holidays coming up, and oh my God, it's already November. Like, my child is already 1. Where did time go? That's how I feel. But in this time, as the leaves are dying, as the days get shorter, it's kind of like nature is encouraging us to slow down a little bit and to go within and to just be with ourselves a little bit more. And for a lot of us, that's really uncomfortable, but let's get uncomfortable together. And let's, encourage either the people in your lives, or feel free to send me a message if you want just a little, like, we can do this partner. I'd love to be that for you. But just to find a way to play more and go inward and enjoy the journey. And I think that the way we can do that is through intention, through reflection, and through just letting ourselves be in moments every now and then, like taking one deep breath before a meal, or taking one deep breath. Honestly, lately, it's like when I go to the bathroom, I take like one deep breath, because that's like the 1 minute of silence I sometimes get. But just allow yourself to be a little more present this season, and to release that badge of honor that is stress or exhaustion or whatever that is for you, hard work, and make room for process, for presence, for joy, and for enjoying the damn journey. So I would love to hear from you, and I would love to maybe just give me, if it's easiest, to give me an emoji in the comments below with one thing you're gonna do to treat yourself with kindness and presence tonight. So it could be a bath, it could be a deep breath, or meditation, or prayer, or yoga, or run, a book, a good meal, anything. And I'll also post Brene Brown's book in the comments below, because her work is just phenomenal. And if you do any sort of like personal development reading, she is something, let me tell you. Yes, Gina, enjoy the damn journey. Exactly. So much easier said than done, but so necessary and so worthwhile. So I hope this rambling made a little bit of sense. Every Wednesday we'll be doing a live Q&A just to create a little bit more of a dialogue between us, so I can know what you need more of or what you want to hear more of. And so hopefully this will benefit you as well. But have a great night, guys, and I look forward to talking to you again.